Saturday morning. Why not standing on the outside? Kate O'Toole is my name. It's 9:30 and it's great to be here with you. In just a few minutes, community members are concerned that some of Brisbane's unique history and heritage could be at risk of being lost because of decaying and abandoned grave sites and monuments at some of the city's cemeteries. More on that to come very shortly here on ABC Radio Brisbane. For now, though, an Australian Prime Minister, Queensland governors, premiers, Brisbane mayors, and many significant cultural and sporting legends. For many prominent Queenslanders and pioneers of Brisbane, Toowong Cemetery became their final resting place. But there's some concerns, some worries that some of the history and heritage of that place and those people could be lost forever because graves and monuments have been forgotten, have been abandoned, and locals and the council seem to be mostly powerless to do anything about it. So what's going on here? How bad's the problem? Is there a solution? Darcy Maddock is the president of the Friends of Toowong Cemetery. Darcy, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. And could you give us a sense of the state of some of the graves that you're concerned about at the moment?
Some of them are being affected by trees, tree roots they're not trees that were planted here by Walter Hill or the peat trees. They were grown from bird droppings in graves, and they are damaging particularly soldiers' graves that should be in better shape. We're not concerned about the main ones like the governors. They're looked after by the state government. The families of some have died off, and the council have a problem in that the rules are that they can only touch a grave with permission of the family other than weeding. So that's sort of slowing things down a bit.
What sorts of things, sorry Darcy, what sorts of things beyond weeding do you think ought to be undertaken?
Well, the maintenance, some of the soil has shifted and allowed monuments to topple, and it'd be nice to put them upright again. There were a lot of monuments, serious monuments, pioneers, destroyed back in 1974 by a mayor who was going to turn the whole area into parkland. We have a dig each year on those, and when we do manage to find a good one, it goes back onto the grave that it was taken from. But our worst problem is the shifting of the soil unbalances the monuments and balances the grave surrounds, and they crack and they disintegrate.
And there's nothing that can be done. You can't even fix a monument to make it stand upright. Is that your reading of the law?
Yes, without permission of the family. That was caused by the 1974 destruction in the cemetery by the then mayor. He was going to turn the whole area into parkland.
Okay, so that was a law that was passed to fix an issue.
That's right.
A historic issue, which has created a future issue and a current issue. So you mentioned soldiers' graves. Are there others of concern? I'm just trying to get a sense of the piece of Brisbane history that's at risk of being lost and forgotten.
They're all important to me, but there are some there that we have what they call weed trees. That camphor laurel is designated as a weed, and the umbrella trees are designated as a weed, and they are slowly getting rid of those. A lot of them are in graves themselves because of birds dropping the thing, but they are restricted by the law to what they do, which is difficult.
So what do you see as the way forward here? I mean, does the council need to take more urgent action on those weed trees? Because you said they're slowly dealing with it, but that could mean that further damage is happening even as they, try to manage the issue.
No, they are working through it. It's just there's 127 acres, and there's a
It's
lot
a
of
bit.
trees.
It's a lot.
It's
The
like
kaffir laurels are hard.
that's
Yeah.
right. It's like the boys who do the mowing. They start at one end of the cemetery and work their way through. By the time they've got to the other end, where they'd started before as well, and truly in need of mowing again.
That's the Harbour Bridge situation, is it? And what about legally? Does this need a legal adjustment then, do you think, Darcy?
It 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 could be adjusted a little bit so that when a grave is in danger of collapse, it could be uh, looked after by the council, subject to trying to make contact with family. We do that a lot. We get permission. I have fixed up a few graves myself with permission of the family. Um, but it's a difficult situation. But the boys there, they work hard. The manager, when I point out something, there's a dangerous tree or something, within a week or so, it's attended to. So I've got no complaints about the council with that.
I'm speaking with Darcy Maddock, who's the president of the Friends of Toowong Cemetery. Darcy, this is an issue in Toowong, but you've also, this would be a law that extends across the state, wouldn't it? So is this
Uh,
an issue in every graveyard across the
uh,
state?
no, it's only the monumental cemeteries in Brisbane
Ah,
because we got Clem Jones did in 1974.
okay, but more than one cemetery?
Yes, yes, it's South Brisbane, it's Balmoral, all the monumental cemeteries in Brisbane. They even attacked my own family cemetery, God's Acre, in 74, and a number of headstones were dumped in the Canoe Creek or Oxley Creek, whichever you want to call it.
Okay. So are you going to campaign for an adjustment to the law, Darcy, or what happens next?
So there's not much we can really do because that's something that the law has to adjust itself.
But it won't adjust itself with no one arguing the case, Darcy. Are you the man for it?
Well, I've been doing my best, but we've got to make sure we don't tread on toes as well. We've even got a Labor Party, one of the first members of the Labor Party in Queensland held the seat of Marinova for 20 years. His grave is an absolute mess, and I can't get any response from the state government on that.
And we've had a person text in saying, "What if the family's gone or unable to be contacted?" But this is the very point, isn't it, Darcy? That you cannot do anything if the family's gone.
Well, I have permission to do some stuff that's the council's not supposed to do.
Ah, okay.
That's
So
where the weeding, they're allowed to weed, but they're really not allowed to do anything without permission.
so
Permission.
there's a Darcy-sized loophole, is there, at the
Yeah.
moment?
So
Yeah.
at the moment, I'm able to do some work, but then there's work that requires masons and money,
Mm.
and we're only volunteers.
Well, we'll see if the law adjusts itself, or if someone takes up this cause
I
to
keep,
support you, Darcy.
I
Yeah.
keep on trying.
Thank you
And
so much for speaking to us today.
okay.
Do you want some further volunteers for the Friends of the Cemetery, by the way?
Oh yes, but we've got two new members just recently joined. They're helping me put dyes back on graves that have been pushed over by vandals and things like that.
And how should people get in touch with you if they'd like to help?
Well, they call president at fotc.org.au.
There you go, president at fotc.org.au. Darcy, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
My pleasure, Kate.
Darcy Maddock, he's the president of the Friends of Toowong Cemetery, outlining an issue that he's very concerned about, which I can understand. terrible to have that kind of degradation with, apparently, at the moment, nothing to be done, particularly for those issues, as Darcy said, that require masons and money. Renee Gayer, Say I Love You on ABC Radio Brisbane. Thank you so much to Alison in East Brisbane for your text about the previous story about restoring graves. Alison says the cost of restoring graves can be really prohibitive. I recently restored a family grave at the request of my late father, and the cost was $10,000. By the way, we did reach out to Brisbane City Council on this issue to see if it's also a concern for them, and they said more than $12 million is invested each year in Brisbane's 12 cemeteries, including the Toowong Cemetery. That includes, maintenance, mowing, trimming trees, removing dead plants, all of that. The Toowong Cemetery is a heritage-listed cemetery, and there are many important historical graves on the site. The state government has the responsibility to maintain memorials for 10 notable Queenslanders at Toowong Cemetery, including Sir Samuel Griffith and Governor Blackall. And the maintenance of individual sites is the responsibility of the burial rights holder and their descendants. There are volunteer groups that can assist with the maintenance, cleaning and restoration of the cemetery, and the council is supportive and appreciative of their contribution to our cemeteries.